Oh yeah, John Mansell, ex-boozehound. Hope you're well. A long time ago, I created something which I'm going to put on as the accompanying photograph, and it was just a saying really that in order to move forward with our recovery, we have to own our own illness and, more importantly, own our own recovery. Now, if you've been watching the last, well, quite a few vlogs, there hasn't been an awful lot of positivity. I don't think there's going to be masses of positivity this time round either, but I think hopefully there'll be little chinks of light, partly for me to see myself and hear myself say that things are picking up, and hopefully partly to remind you that, you know, it doesn't take an awful lot to find that little chink of light that you can hold on to and build from. So Thursday I went to a men's group at a place called the Hope Centre in Halzone. If you're local, it's on a Thursday at 1 o'clock. I wasn't going to go. I was lying around feeling sorry for myself and didn't want to get out of bed. And in the end, I got up and I went. And I didn't go as John, ex-boozehound. I went as John, because my purpose for going there was to ask the guys for help. And that in itself, you'll know, is quite a big thing. And I've asked for help a few times recently. A few weeks ago, I phoned the on-duty nurse because I was just desperately upset, desperately sad. And I ended up getting an emergency psychiatrist appointment, and we decided that we were going to alter the medication again and see whether that could help, because this sort of bout of depression has just gone on for such a long time. For those that want to know, I've increased my sertraline up to 200 milligrams a day, which is the antidepressants, and that's the highest dose you can have on sertraline. And we've reduced my quetiapine down from, at one point it was 600, I think, and I think now we reduced it down to about 200, and I think I've gone back up to 300. So just so you know. And then I have other things like diazepam to relax me and calm me when I'm heightened, or you know, just to I suppose in a way to close down the voices and the negativity that goes on in my mind. So it's important that we own our own recovery. You know, we own our own illness. Owning our own illness is, in part, about accepting that we have an illness. I know a few people who won't accept that they have depression for various reasons, and it makes their life incredibly hard, harder than it needs to be. I accept I have the illnesses that I have, and it makes life incredibly hard still. But unless you can get that acceptance and take ownership of your own illness, it's very, very difficult. Now, so there's a couple of examples. I went to the group and I asked for help. I went to the NHS and I asked for help. And you know, again, I I've got some positive stuff to say about the NHS, but that usually gets me a lot of abuse. But what it is with the NHS and adult social care and all those other things around you, you know, Dudley Council, whatever it is you have to make an effort to get to them. You know, it's survival of the fittest. So if you just sit at home and you know, like I do sometimes, wallow in your own self-pity, nothing's going to change. So in order to change something, you have to change something. So asking for help is really important. I mentioned chinks of light earlier. Now, I know I was talking to somebody the other day. Again, I'm asking lots of people for help, friends, family, whatever. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I heard myself say the words that this isn't me. You know, this completely. Let's use the word pathetic. Person, you know, hiding away from life, scared to, you know, fearing what's going to happen next, and you know, the real me is yeah, that's a person with mental health issues, but also somebody who can cope with it, and somebody who deals with it, and somebody who manages it. At the moment, I'm just not managing it. You know, my catchphrase at the moment is I can't. And sometimes we can't fight it. Sometimes we just have to, you know, go with the flow. I was wondering, and today, for the first time in a long time, I've been to the gym. And I sort of said to myself yesterday that I really needed to go to the gym today, because I haven't been regularly for a long time, and it was the 1st of February, so, you know, get a new start at the start of a month. And then I came up with this idea that maybe everything's going to be okay now, because maybe my depression and my uncertainty of life is all to do with Brexit, and now we're out of the EU, things can get better. Who knows? You never know, it could be. Probably not, but it could be. So while I'm at the gym, and I only did, you know, I didn't do as much as I used to do. I used to go fairly regularly, sort of 2 or 3 times a week, and obviously I'm nowhere near as strong as I was. So it becomes a great metaphor for mental illness and fighting it. So you will have all heard, you know, take it one day at a time. It's fucking annoying to hear it all the time, but it's true. You would have also heard things like many times, you know, take the little steps. That's fucking annoying as well, but that's what you have to do. It's step by step, and part of me, you know, I'm sick and tired of having to take those little steps, you know, patting myself on the back because I've got up in the morning, you know, but it's real, you know, it's with the change in medication at the moment, my sleep patterns are shite. I can't get to sleep at night, and again this morning I didn't want to get out of bed, because if I get out of bed, I've just got a day of misery and sadness and boredom ahead of me. Now, I used to do a lot of stuff, you know, I'd be at a couple of meetings a week, and, you know, seeing different people and speaking to a lot of people online. But I think it was sort of around about sort of February, maybe March last year, that it sort of all stopped, because I was being pulled in too many directions and wasn't concentrating on myself. And over the last year, I've had lots of ups and downs, and the reason I think this depression episode has gone on for so long time is because I've never stopped and thought, okay, let's get you well. You know, I'm worried that because I haven't been about and I haven't been doing certain things, that, you know, the name exboozehound won't be as known as it was. But, you know, at the end of the day, if I can never do that sort of stuff again, then, you know, I know I've helped a lot of people, and that should be enough for me. My vlogs have been watched over 7,000 times, and the blogs that I don't do anymore, I think we're up to about 20. They've been looked at about 20,000 times. That might be a little over the top, but it's at least 15. So, you know, I have done my bit. I had an email from you won't mind me mentioning, Matt Boucher, Adult Social Care, this week, that I haven't replied to yet, thanking me for the work I did when I did a peer review with them, and he said that, you know, it's on public record now, and I was the first expert by experience to have taken part in those things. Although I don't like expert by experience, because that's an NHS term. We're called lifetime experience warriors. So I am going on a lot more than I thought I would, but one of the other things that I noticed today, being down the gym, is, again, with the mental health side of things and looking at the gym side of things, I couldn't go down to the gym today and do the weights that I was doing a few months ago when I was going 2 or 3 times a week. That's the same as mental illness. That's the same as when you get yourself into an episode, or you get yourself into a situation where you just don't seem to be able to get out of it. You can't just wake up one morning and say, oh yeah, cool, I'm better, everything's all right, away we go. To be fair, I say you can't. Sometimes that has happened to me. You know, I wake up one morning and I just feel brighter, and I've got it gives me the energy and the impetus and the motivation to be who I am. Just like it can go from, you could be fine 1 minute and the next minute you're a complete gibbering wreck. You know, these things can happen, but more often than not, you got to put some effort into making your mental health situation better. Now, I've got this thing that I came up with recently when I was talking to somebody, and I said, "What's wrong with you? You're not the same, John. You're nowhere near where, you know, I've seen you. You're more depressed. You've got no confidence. You've got no drive." And I think part of it is I've been away from doing all the stuff that I used to do for a period of time, that it's sort of I've got the fear that if I go back and start trying to do it again and nobody's interested, that it will be just another thing I've failed at. And you'll understand that. I mean, my whole life I've basically failed at everything, you know. I mean, I know that's really negative. So I've got this fear. So it's like I've set up I've got 1,000 dominoes, and I've set up this great domino rally, or whatever you call it. It looks good. There's some possibly risky corners and things like that, and it's there and it's ready to go. But I just don't have the balls to flick that first domino at the moment. And I'm not going to get the balls to flick that first domino unless I get myself well. So, and the other thing about the gym, and again, going back to, you know, a day at a time, and, you know, doing the little things, you know, patting yourself on the back for going out for a walk. I mean, how many times have you been told to go out for a walk? Again, fucking annoying. But if it's done the right way, if it's done, you know, just as okay, I've done that, then it can help. So I'm sitting in the gym, and I'm now warming down on the rowing machine, and typical mental health mind is saying to myself, "Oh, I feel good for doing this. That's brilliant. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to do this. I'm going to come to the gym every day for the next 3 weeks. I'll be a lot fitter, and my mental health will be a lot better." Bollocks. But that's the way the mind works. For somehow we don't seem to be able to just think about today, maybe tomorrow. It's like, okay, if I get myself better, I'll be able to do this, I'll be able to do that, be able to do this and that and the other. It's bullshit. It don't work like that. You've got to get yourself well. You've got to have an underpinning of some sort of consistency of wellness in order to move forward. So I've lost my train of thought, which is always happens. But what I'm trying to say is, if we go right back to that at the start, that thing I created, which I'll put on with this thing there, in order to move forward with our recovery, we have to own our own illness, and more importantly, we have to own our own recovery. It's very, very important. Nobody and nothing out there is going to fix you. I think medication gets on my nerves, because yes, it does numb you. Yes, it does. It takes emotions away from you, and it's stuff. But without it, I don't think I'd stand a chance. So I have to accept that I've got to take it. But it's not just medication. That ain't going to fix you. What you've got to do, what we've got to do, what we've all got to do is we've got to accept that we have an illness. We've got to own it. We've got to own our own recovery. We've got to put effort into our own recoveries. We need to, if you need some help from the NHS, don't let them fob you off. Keep going at them, or get somebody to do it for you. Because sometimes it literally, that bit of just asking for help and for somebody to talk to you in a slightly different way, rather than you trying to help other people, they're trying to help you, can make a huge difference. I've gone on for nearly 17 minutes, and I don't know whether I've said everything I wanted to say. Your recovery, your normal, whatever you want to call it, you're moving forward with life. It's not down to everybody around you and the things that you take medically and the right diet and it's about every little thing that goes around. And I know that things are getting better because every now and then I feel like I recognise myself again. But then the next day I'm a miserable bastard again. When we're looking for happiness, it doesn't have to be days and days and days of joy and glee. Just that one little thing that makes you smile or makes you joke like you used to. When you start to recognise these little things again, remember them, because that's you rebuilding again. And the gym and the mental health things is exactly the same. I can't go back into the gym and start doing what I was doing 6 months ago 3 times a week. And it's exactly the same as mental health. Mental health doesn't just... There's no switches, there's no cures, there's no immediate help that you're going to get. It's in you. Your recovery is in you. Yes, you need other things around it, but it's inside you. And I know it's inside you, I know it's inside me, because we've done it over and over again. We've had these downs, we've had these patches, but we do it over and over again. And yes, it's annoying that you get to a place and it all falls apart again. But so what? That's life. That's life. That's normal life. That's not just life with mental illness. That's life itself. Shit happens. But in order to move forward with our own recovery, we have to find that little bit of strength that's inside us and build from it. And I know you can do it. I'm hoping next time I do a vlog, it will be nothing but positivity. But if you can't do it today, if you're feeling low, accept it. See what happens tomorrow. See what happens in a couple of hours' time. You might have a phone call off a friend and it makes you laugh. You might watch something funny on telly and it makes you smile. Remember those little bits, because those are the little bits that you can start building, a moving forward with your life on. I am going to shut up now because I don't think anybody's going to watch this because it's nearly 20 minutes long. But, if you can, please share it. And if you do make comments, I'm sorry I don't reply to most of them. It's just well, I just don't get round to it. Thank you for all the comments I received from Miss Collins, and I'll see you all soon. Take it easy. Bye.